What's going on, Warriors? So today we're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna break down your insulin to carb ratio and your pre-bolus, how to know which one you should be changing, because sometimes you might be changing the insulin to carb ratio when that's not what needs to be changed. We need to take it to pre-bolus. So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna show you guys how to determine when you need to change your insulin to carb ratio. And I'm also gonna determine when you need to shift your pre-bolus, and you might even need to post-bolus. Everyone is slightly different. So we're gonna dive in today. I'm gonna explain this. You get better control over your blood sugars overall. Stop stressing, build some confidence, and do the damn thing. Okay, so let's say we have something like this, right? Let's say we've got 0 hours. This is where we're gonna have our meal. 5 hours. You wanna take a look at where your blood sugar is 5 hours after you've had your rapid-acting insulin shot. So take your current insulin to carb ratio, pick a food item. Can't stress this enough. You need a food item where you know 100% what the carbohydrate information is in it so that you can really test this, because you don't want the issue to be the result you didn't count the carbohydrates correct. All we want to isolate is your insulin to carb ratio to see if that's working for you. And to do that, you need to know how much carbohydrates are in your food. One of the things I test with my clients is using 1 cup of cooked white rice, which is typically 45 grams of carbohydrates. So let's say we're over here, we give ourselves our insulin, and let's say we decide we're going to pre-bolus for 10 minutes beforehand, and then we notice we're gonna spike up past that 200 mgdl mark in the first couple hours. But then what we notice, the trajectory comes back down and we're normal after 5 hours. And again, we wanna wait 5 hours because that's how long rapid acting insulin like Humalog and Novolog is gonna stay in your system for. So if you're just doing this based on 3 hours and correcting at the 3 hour mark, for the majority of insulins, rapid acting insulins, then you're doing yourself a disservice because you still have another 2 hours left on board. Doesn't matter what's programmed into your insulin pump with insulin on board. At the end of the day, if the manufacturer makes the insulin to last 5 hours in your system, it's gonna last 5 hours in your system. So you really wanna truly test this, wait 5 hours. Now, once you see that, let's say we blew this, so 200 mgdl is a little too high. We only wanna spike up to about 180, 170 is a really good mark, and then coming back down. So that kind of shows me we spiked up really fast, really high, but then we came back down to normal, means that that glucose was breaking down in your system before the insulin had a chance to meet it. So what you want to change now is shift this back. Now you need to try 15 minutes before or 20 minutes before instead of 10 minutes before, and see if that helps out. Because if that's the case, then you should see a little bit of a spike like this right underneath the 200 mark, and then we come back down stable there. That would be a good arc that we want to see. And to shift that, then you're going to shift it back from your pre-bolus to have it a little earlier. That's how you know you need to change the pre-bolus, not the insulin to carb ratio, because at the end of the 5 hours, you were right back down to a normal range after the 5 hour mark. It's just the initial spike was a little bit too fast. Let's say something like this happens. So you go and you do a regular pre-bolus, it goes up, but now it's just trailing off after 5 hours. It never ever really came back down. Or it came up, it did an arc past 200 mgdl, and then it came down, but it didn't really come down where you wanted it to. That's a sign that your insulin to carb ratio needs to change. And if you spiked up past the 200 early on, your pre-bolus also needs to change. So in that scenario, you're gonna shift your pre-bolus, and you're also gonna end up shifting your insulin to carb ratio to better dial that in. Because you trailed up high over 200, and then you came back down, but you didn't come back down close to where you were before you had your meal. A good reference point would be around 26 mgdl, in and around there from where you were before you ate your meal to 5 hours later. That's a really good insulin to carb ratio. So that's one way that you guys can check to know, is it the pre-bolus or is it the insulin to carb ratio that I need to change, and what you're looking for in your CGM to really determine that factor. If you want to test this, again, remember, you need to know how much carbohydrates are in the food that you're eating to really test your insulin to carb ratio. You're also going to want to make sure you're not working out, you're not stressed out, you're not overly sick, because if that's in normal amount of stress is okay, but if you're in a heightened stressful scenario that day, maybe you're helping someone move, that's definitely not the time to test this. You want to be more relaxed because we don't want any of these other variables to interfere with what we're looking at. So make sure it's on a day like that. Also, you can also test different times in the day, because how your body's interacting with an insulin to carb ratio in the morning is going to be different in the afternoon, it's going to be different in the evening. So you can spread your meals out and actually test different times of the day. If you do this, keep every single meal the same, the quantity the same with everything across the day. And if you are testing, test carbohydrates test the carbohydrates on their own. If it's 1 cup of cooked rice, just do the rice without protein, without fats, without anything there. Why? Because we don't want anything else to interfere with the carbohydrate count that we're looking at. In the future, you can move and start testing rice with protein to see how that works out. I'm letting you know this just so you're mindful of other things that can impact your blood sugar levels. Then you end up running around in a circle and not being able to isolate certain things to find out what's gonna work best for you. It's Coach Jay. If you guys like any of this, make sure you guys subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down below, hit the like button, hit that bell notification. Just helps this channel grow. Just take it to new heights. Help more warriors as well. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode.